Welcome to Sports CTO Talks. In today's episode, we will be discussing about why great communities and technology outperform great workouts. I am Ami, your guide on this journey through amazing mind of technology and the sports tech leaders who are shaping the industry. We would be talking about AI to cloud, from cybersecurity to sustainability. If it is sports tech, we are talking about it. On today's podcast, we have a very interesting and a different guest from the routine people we onboard. We welcome you, David, to the podcast in first.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, David is the co founder and the CEO of Train With Us, a community engagement platform built specifically for gyms and fitness communities. After operating Blended Athletics, a community fitness facility in Nova Scotia, for more than a decade, David built a team to create Train With Us, which solves one of the industry's biggest challenges, that is member retention. And we would be talking about that in today's podcast. Train with Us helps gyms create stronger connections among members through events, groups, channels, direct messaging, activity matching, and community engagement. The platform is currently being used by the gyms and fitness communities across Canada, US, and Australia. So, David, my first question, we'll directly jump in. And my first question is, how was your experience for over a decade of building blended athletics? And what were the moments when you realized that member retention had less to do with, programming quality and more to do with the human connection?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of alluded to the fact that, coming from the actual fitness industry itself, it kind of makes me a unique tech founder, especially with all of that like raw like experience that I was able to get over almost 14 years now. And to be fair, is like we didn't sell the gym. We still operate the gym. My wife and I still have the gym. So, over all of those years of experience, I would say when we look at like programming as a retention tool and versus like connection, anyone who's in the fitness industry in any capacity knows that if I, just as like a very simple example, is like if I were to be able to build the best program of all time, it is like you could never have a better program. And I gave it to a person that never did the workouts, they would have no results.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if I gave someone who a mediocre program that stuck to that program to a T for 6 months, they're going to see results. So the programming from that perspective is important without question, but that is not the thing that moves the needle.
Mm.
Having someone actually show up and do the workouts consistently over a period of time, that's where you're going to see the change. And so that kind of brought us to why we created Train With Us, I'd say, in the first place, is that we came to a realization that we couldn't, I mean, yes, programming is important, but it was not the be all end all that was going to be the thing that created the success that we wanted to see within the gym.
Like there are many gym owners, obsess over workout design, the equipments, the facilities, like, and it can be at any location rather. So, if you had to rank the programming, the coaching, the community, the technology, there are so many things and so many aspects. So by their impact on long-term the success, the member success basically, how would you prioritize and why?
No one has ever walked in my gym. So we're like outfitted in Eleiko equipment, which for anyone who's passionate about fitness and is like in the industry knows that Eleiko is like the number one brand in the world.
Hmm.
Nobody walks into the gym for a tour and is like, oh my gosh, you have Eleiko equipment. Like the general person doesn't understand
Correct.
the difference between good equipment and the best equipment. So if I were to kind of rank the order, like biasly, I think community's number one.
Yes.
Um, Two's coaching, because coaches also are a key component of creating community. A great coach can develop and create a great community. Programming is still important, so it's three. And I mean, again, I am the founder of a tech product, but I think that that comes in as number four. Like, good
Okay.
technology can make all those three things better,
Hmm.
but without those three things, the technology is actually completely useless.
Correct. Agree on that part. Coming from a technology company, still I agree on that. So like, you often talk about belonging rather than, the engagement part. So what's the difference? Why do you believe that belonging is the real predictor on long-term behavior change?
Yeah, so engagement's just something someone does, whereas belonging is something that someone feels. I think that that's the important distinction between the two of those. And someone can attend 4 or 5 days of classes every single week and be highly, highly engaged. But at the end of the day, if they don't have the feeling of belonging, then I think that that's like the key missing part and is oftentimes probably the most overlooked part for from a gym owner's perspective. Because when gym owners get, I would say the vast majority of gym owners, when they get involved in like the business side of fitness, they get involved because they are extremely passionate about fitness. They to kind of like your earlier observation is like a great coach is so interested in the programming. They
Hmm.
love like playing with the periodization of programming and they love expanding on those things, but like at the end of the day that's not what the member
Hmm.
is going to kind of like continue to come back because.
Yeah, right. Uh, there is a data backed, and there is a question related to that. The gyms achieving, there is a reference that gyms are achieving 3 to 4% attrition versus an industry average is of 8 to 10%. So when community become parts of a member's social life, so what specific behaviors you have observed over the years, or a few indicators, if you could tell us that someone is being part of the community rather than you just simply attending classes.
Yeah, the member that scares me the most with regards to like leaving my community and leaving the gym, which the cost to acquire a client is expensive in any business, right? So like you're going to spend marketing dollars and a lot of time and effort to get someone through the door.
Hmm.
Once they're through the door, your whole goal is to keep that person for as long as possible. And the reality of it is, long in the fitness industry, the longer you keep them, the better their results are going to be because of, again, consistency and just execution of that. The things that I'm looking for a member who's becoming disengaged is oftentimes like the quiet member, the person who's not chatting with people when they come in. The person who, if they go MIA for a week, our team, our coaches, they don't even notice that they're gone, right?
Hmm.
So we call them like they're the silent quitters, right?
Okay.
They're the people that kind of like hide out behind the scene and then they just kindly slowly drift away. And the scary part is like you oftentimes just don't see it happening. So they go from 4 days a week and they're coming in like say consistently at in the evening. And then all of a sudden they go to like 3 times a week and they start their workouts expand to being like one here in the morning, one in the evening, and then like maybe one on the weekend. And then all of a sudden it goes from 3 to 2, and it's just like slowly, quietly drifts. And so for us, when we're looking at it from like a aspect of like the things that are happening from a member perspective, like in our space, it's the people that are just kind of like quietly, slowly disappearing that we want to try to find a way to re-engage.
Absolutely. Continuing on what you just said, most members, when they join, they are highly motivated, but disappear, as you said, within first few months. So if you were analyzing member data of your companies, what metrics during the first 30, the 60, the 90 days would best predict whether someone stays for that year or, quits quite early?
Yeah, so definitely looking beyond just like the visits. I mean, don't get me wrong, attendance, consistency, it matters.
Yes.
But we want to know, who have they connected with?
Mhm.
Have they interacted with coaches outside of like the class? Have they joined an event or like a community event or a competition that's happening? Are they communicating with other members? Essentially, like, have they made friends?
Mm.
Right? Like those are the things that we've realized are going to move the needle and keep someone long term and make them feel like they belong ultimately.
Okay. So, like when we talk fitness technology is focused on, training workouts, the calories, the heart rates, the attendance, as you mentioned. So, like, do you think that the next generation of fitness technology should be more focused on relationship rather than just these metrics?
Yes. The we I mean, let's use religion as an example.
Hmm.
Religion is arguably the biggest community that exists in the world. And, for one reason or another, people are committed to religion. And oftentimes, I would argue, as someone who's not very religious, is it's because of the community that they get to be a part of. It provides them with a sense of, belonging, but purpose, right? Like a greater purpose than themselves.
Hmm.
And so, I think it's almost something that as gym owners, we can just, from an observation perspective, we can learn from that,
Hmm.
right? And for us, it's a matter of like utilizing technology. I often get asked like, can communities be engineered? And I mean, obviously, I'm getting asked that because I am quite literally trying to engineer a app to create the infrastructures that gyms need to build community across. And I think that we can design the conditions for communities. So, for example, within our gym, we strategically built a coffee bar with tables and couches in our lobby. Like, that use of space to the average new gym owner would be like, you know what, I could probably use that space and put some pretty cool equipment in there.
Hmm.
For us, though, it's like it's so important to create the environment for connection to happen. So it's not because we're sitting there and we're taking two people, and we are strategically, like, a great coach will introduce two people that they think would be a good connection. But at the end of the day, is like, we can't force you to be friends, right?
Correct.
But what we can do is, after a class, we can provide you with an environment where you're going to grab a coffee and you're going to sit down, you're going to chat for 15 minutes.
Hmm.
And during that conversation, you uncover that you both have kids that are under 5 years old, right? And now you have like something. other than the gym in common.
to talk about.
It is so hard for a 40-year-old human being that just ha like has a child to find new friends. I mean, it's really challenging for a 40-year-old without kids to find new friends. Like I would argue that moving to like, you know, oftentimes people think when I retire, I'm going to move to like, this different spot, right? I'm going to move to India or I'm going to move to Mexico or what, especially for those of us up north, somewhere warm. We're going to move somewhere warm. The vast majority of like snowbirds that move away, they end up moving home within 2 years because they've they've lost their community and they find it really, really hard to build that new one. The first thing I've moved across the country a couple times. The very first thing I do is beyond like finding a place where I'm going to live is actually like finding the gym that I'm going to join. It's the very first thing on my list is like, where am I going to go work out? Because that's my third spot. I am going to go from work to home. And for me, I'm going to spend my time, the rest of my time typically at the gym.
Okay. Now, from a business angle,
Yeah.
most business leaders want measurable outcomes. Let's be honest on that. So, how do you quantify the ROI of the community, what you are building? It takes lots and lots of efforts. So, what numbers improve when people feel connected? The retention, the lifetime value, referrals, attendance, like there are so many things. So,
Yeah.
at the end, how do you quantify ROI?
That's exactly how we would. Retention is probably the easiest place to start, but lifetime value is obviously the meat and bones to the success because if you've got a $200 a month membership and that person that let's say the cost to acquire that person's $200, you make really $0 on that first month that they're a member, right? So like between your marketing costs and so on and such forth is like you spend $200, that person comes through the door, they give you $200 to join the gym, you're now break even. That's like an ideal situation as gym owners. Like essentially the member is covering their acquisition costs within that first month. If that person stays for 6 months, you will get $1,200. So let's just say $1,000 in profit, which you have other expenses, but for simplicity of this, you get $1,000 in profit. The difference between 6 months and 12 months, though, and having like that longer level of retention, is an additional $1,200. So now all of a sudden, like you bring a client in, it costs you $200 to do it. And the difference between them staying for 6 months or 12 months is you making $1,000 or you making $2,200. If I could give you 100% return on investment,
Hmm.
right, for doing just human things that are going to get a member to stay for a longer period of time. And the science it exists already. You want to know someone's name, right? Like if you can, when someone walks into the gym, if the front desk staff can call them by name,
Hmm.
you most likely like it could be, especially in today's world, we work from home, you go to the grocery store, you go to self-checkout, right? Like there's quite often times where people have not interacted with a human being over the course of the entire day. You walk into a place where someone calls you by your name, that might be the only time today that you have heard your name. And there's like a chemical reaction that happens on a science level within the brain when you hear your own name. And so if we can just be more human, I think we can help retain clients. And at the end of the day, is like, anyone who opens up a fitness business, they did not do it for the money. The
Hmm.
money is important because it allows them to reinvest in the business. It allows them to reinvest in their staff. Allows them to reinvest into their members' future. But at the end of the day, it's like why people would open up a gym in the first place is because they truly want to make a difference in people's lives. And more often than not, it's like the gym or the fitness in itself, it changed that person's life or had an
Mm.
impact on that person's life. So they're oftentimes very passionate about it because it had such an impact on their own life that they want to share that with others.
When you're talking about the human touch, the human thing in a whole day, I have a opposite question. It's a
Yeah.
technology question. As
Yeah.
these days there are AI coaches, wearables, personal, fitness apps, trackers, and they are
Yeah.
increasing day by day and they are getting sophisticated day by day. So which part of the fitness experience do you think that technology can enhance and which parts must remain fundamentally human?
Yeah, I think AI has become a very polarized conversation in society today. And I think the reality of it is that it's polarized because it's so new. I mean, I mean, as you and I both know, it's not that new, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's very new. And,
Hmm.
there's these the conception is that AI is going to be taking our jobs. I mean, let's use this podcast as an example. 15 to 20 years ago, this job didn't exist. Like podcasting didn't exist, right?
Hmm.
So that's it's a new job within the last, arguably the last 10 years. Like someone like Joe Rogan, right? Like that is, a job that 20 years ago didn't even exist.
Correct.
So really, I think I'm very optimistic about what AI is going to do for society. So before I answer your question, I'll give you a different perspective to it. I believe that AI is going to be incredibly good to take parts of fitness that involve information, such as programming, data analysis, nutrition recommendations, all of those things that just include like mass amounts of data.
Hmm.
It is going to free up our time as humans to create experience. And experience is what we all crave,
Hmm.
right? Experience is the thing that creates that feeling we were kind of talking about. And so, if you can invoke a feeling within a person, it's going to provide just like a dopamine release that is going to have like a really positive impact. And so, although I think, a lot of jobs are going to be lost to I think what it's going to actually do is it's going to give us an opportunity to be more human. I mean,
Yeah.
the last thing that I want to spend my day doing is sitting behind a desk looking at Excel sheets. That to me is like a worst case scenario. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there's people that absolutely, and I like Excel sheet, I like data. So I love the data around it. But to spend 8 hours of my day looking at a screen and analyzing numbers is really like, and analyzing data is really not the best use of my time. I mean, the thing that's going to give me energy is being out and spending more time with my family,
Hmm.
spending more time with customers, creating experiences, events, things that are going to have an impact in such a positive way to my community, and to like the greater community. I mean, as an example, within Blended Athletics, we have a giant fundraiser that we run through the summer for brain cancer, and it actually comes to an end this week. The kind of like the final party, we'll say, and we've raised almost $50,000 for brain cancer
Wow.
within this, small community that exists in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
the impact that we have as humans has tons of opportunity to be really, really positive. And I think that what AI is going to do is give us the opportunity to do actually more of that. And so, yeah, I think AI wearable technology, like it's going to do a really, really great job at coming up with a better program. But again, at the end of the day, the program's irrelevant if no one's going to do it.
Absolutely. So, what is one challenge, or you can, share a few what you are facing when many communities face in maintaining authenticity as they grow?
So it's funny, is like high school is the best example of this.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is like high school is a community. So, in high school, I was not friends with everybody in high school. I had, well, and we reference it now within Train With Us. So like this app that we've been building for gym owners and fitness communities, we reference it as what we call micro communities. And so high school was made up of a whole bunch of micro communities. You had your jocks, so those who played sports, and actually there was micro communities within there. The hockey team's very different than the football team and the basketball team. So like those are all micro communities. I was I'm Canadian. I'm a hockey player. So I was really good friends with everyone on my hockey team,
mm,
right? But there's also the band club and the chess
mm.
club. And so
Yes.
like all of these micro communities, they're smaller groups that you can create intimate and real organic raw relationships with these people. You can't do it with hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, I can't remember what the law. There's like a quote unquote law that exists, or like a human law that you can only kind of like have a community of like 150 people, right?
Mm,
Before it starts to degrade. I believe that's true. Like you can only remember so much. That's, the human brain, the capacity of the human brain. So even when I look at it, it's like this is why what we're building for gyms with Train With Us is so important, because our gym blended is actually made up of a whole bunch of micro communities. And those micro communities might be modality based. So it might be the difference between CrossFit, High Rocks, yoga, Pilates, like those would be all modality based. So each of those communities in and of themselves would be their own. You can have communities like we have a run club as an example, like that would be a community. You have time communities. So like we call it like the morning crew. Those people who go to the gym before 7 a.m., before like the vast majority of people wake up, they're their own, like,
absolutely.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a word to describe those human beings right now, but
I
they're
cannot
their
think of
own,
it also, honestly. I just cannot think of it.
they're their own type of people. But they're like a community. And it's crazy. Like, I was in the gym this morning, at 5:30. And when I walked into the gym this morning, I had to get it in early today. And so I walked in at 5:30, and there was a group of 15 women, the vast majority of them probably moms, married with families, absolutely crushing themselves as a group in the gym. I was like, this group, that's a community. Like
Absolutely.
you you want to take the energy that's harnessed within that community, and you just want to recreate it in as many possible ways as you can.
Absolutely. Agree on that part. Like there are many sport, like when you talk about the human touch, the communities, but there are, on the other hand, there are a lot of sports tech founders, who focus on the features, the analytics, as we discussed previously, and innovation. So, if you were to advise them with so much of your experience, understanding, staying on ground, what advice would you give them about building a product?
Yeah, I think we need to make it more human. We need to make technology more human. And I think, again, going back to AI, I think that there's a really important component to AI when it comes to gathering the data and bringing forth, valuable information. I think what AI will do is actually it'll take a good coach and it'll make them an amazing coach if we learn how to harness that. And so I think we really need to be focusing on like events, experiences, shared interest, um, creating these like micro communities that we were kind of talking about. Like if we can do that, it'll be a huge distinction between the separation of like technology and like what's being created today, and what we as human beings actually like need in order to improve our lives on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. David, we will move on to the next question,
Hmm.
next segment, sorry, of the podcast. That's the rapid fire round. I have
Great.
a few questions and you'll have to answer in one word or max one sentence.
Okay.
Okay. Coffee before workout or workout before coffee?
Coffee before workout.
Okay. Squats or deadlifts?
Squats.
Group classes or solo workouts?
Group classes.
Absolutely. What's the biggest fitness myth people still believe?
Probably that the perfect program matters more than consistency in of itself.
Okay. What's more powerful for retention, great coach or great community?
I gotta say, the human coach powered by AI.
Okay, okay. One fitness technology trend every gym owner should be paying attention to right now.
Great communities.
Okay. In one word, what does the future of fitness look like?
Uh, AI that identifies member behavior and retention risk before the member ever even disengages.
Okay. We'll move on to the next segment. There's just one question. You'll have to answer it in 30 seconds.
Okay.
What is the role of AI in why great communities and technology outperform great workouts?
AI is going to make fitness incredibly personalized. It'll help us understand behavior, predict when someone might be disengaged, improve programming. It's going to give coaches information they could never actually process manually. But I don't think AI is going to ever replace the reason people stay. The winning model is going to be technology plus human interaction, that sense of belonging.
Perfect. Thank you, David, for joining us today on the podcast and sharing wonderful insights with all the listeners.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, everyone, let's stay connected. And if you have any comments, if you have any queries, please write down in the chat. David or I will definitely make it a point to answer each and every question. So, let's stay connected. And for more understanding on sports and technology, please follow the channel. We will meet in the next week, in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.